Hello Easy Robot. My name is TechnoPro and today I'm showing you how to hack your power base that comes with your USB to accommodate a different plug. The stock plug on an USB power base is a 3.5 or 2.5. I still haven't figured that out. I think it's 3.5 millimeter power jack. It's just a barrel plug, and the adapter for it comes with the kit, but does not come with just the basic ECB. So, I'm gonna just show you how I put this one together, and then we'll get to hacking the other one. So, for this one, I did a little bit of experimenting, but it wasn't too much. It's a pretty simple hack, as long as you have the plug that you need, and the plug is not huge. The board inside here has a fuse that runs through, up and around, through the mini DIN's plug and back out. And so, you have to, because the barrel jack has three different plug areas. Two of them are ground and one of them is power, and the two grounds are connected. So when I open this up, you're going to see that there's some extra holes. There's going to be one area that's not plugged in. So this is what it looks like right here. So as you can see, there's the ground and this is the power. And then the power runs up through the fuse, back around through the mini DIN's connector, back around to the grounds. And because this plug only has one ground, we only need to solder to one. And that's the plug. So if I slide this out, I'm not sure, I can't slide it out because I glued it by accident. But if I can get a quick look under here, you can see the wires coming out of the back of the plug. It's heavily hot glued because the wires don't wiggle around and misalign the plug. So you kind of can dodge the hot glue right at the edge of the wire. But anyway, which way, that's what we're going to try and make. So I'm going to move these screws off to the side. The power base that's in front of you right now is stock. Nothing's been changed. And actually one of the ECBs, I think this ECB hasn't even been programmed yet. So, first of all, step one, remove your ECB. You don't want this in the line of fire. So, set that over there. This is the power base. So, you're going to want to undo all these screws. There. Now you're gonna, because this is 3D printed, it's a little hard to separate, but this is because I have a beta part, and so first 100 people got beta parts because they waited since September. You might need to grab a flathead screwdriver or something to pry with because it could be a little stiff. Because mine are 3D printed, it's a little stiffer than it would because July orders are getting plastic parts. So anyway, here we have the stock power board. So there's the fuse. Everything looks nice and pretty. And so first thing you want to do is I found that it's easier to take the plug right here off if this board is out of the shell. And to do that, you have to flatten these solder points right here because they stick out too far to fit underneath the plastic ledge. So I'm gonna grab my dandy soldering iron. Hopefully not burning myself. I'm going to alt away a little bit at it, just kind of try and flatten it down a little bit. Oh, one tip I suggest you do is remove the fuse. I forgot to do that, but I'll do that now. Because the fuse could be damaged by the heat. The fuse is a little bit of a bugger to try and get out, so you might need a little bit of pry and force behind it, but hopefully you can get it out. Here we go. Nice big jump. Now, just to remember, the 20 on the fuse, this is for 20 amps. It's a little hard to see because the camera won't focus. But any which way, trust my word, there's a 20 there, and the 20 is always facing straight up when it's in here. So, set that off to the side just for safety again. And I'm going to try and flatten this last solder point. Hear it squealing away there. Okay, now if those are done, I'm going to try and should be a little easier to try and slip it under. You're going to need a little bit of wiggle and force there. Might need with me it's a little bit hard. There we go. Ooh. Now I'm just gonna slide the rest of it. It's still a little hot, so I have to be careful, but any which way, board out of the shell. So I'm gonna move this over just because I can hold it easier in my vise here. Hopefully the camera doesn't fall over on me. Going to, sure, let's go like this. Do not, if you happen to use a vise, do not over tighten it because these boards will break almost instantly because they are not built for strength. Move some stuff out of the way so I can get the cable over here. So what you want to do is get all these areas hot first. You want to be quick about this. Alright, keep giving a slight prying motion as you touch all of them. Should almost be out. Just keep going at it. You want to make sure you keep touching them. Now, odds are your thing is going to be completely destroyed because the plastic swells. But it is possible probably to salvage it. I'd like to see somebody try, but in which way from there, unfortunately I don't have any solder with me, so I might lie. I think I have some back here. Maybe it's not. Oh, there's some. Got some nice solder. I'm gonna tin the tip of my soldering iron. And almost there. Sorry, I had a slight interruption there, but so anyways, you're gonna want to tin the. You're gonna try and get some solder onto here. Got some solder on there, and you're going. Well, sorry. It might. At this point, you're probably gonna want to put the board back into your case. So I'm gonna move this back over. Lots of moving today. So here, now it's going to be easier to slide in this time, so it might need to go upside down for the first part, but it should pop in. Now it's going to be probably not going to sit in there. So what you're going to have to do is take the plug that you're going to install, So here's the plug that I'm going to install. It's a Tamiya plug. You're going to measure out what you need to either cut or burn off from the power base. That's about that. Unfortunately, the solder that I just used is probably going to go to waste. I'm going to try and salvage some of it. There we go. Now take your, I have to be careful about this camera here because it tends to slide. So take your soldering iron or cutting tool, cut or burn away at what needs to come off the power base. Preferably, you want to try and keep the stuff out from the inside of the plug. You want to, because the top of the power base slips in on there, so you want to try and either cut or burn off the stuff that's burnt inward or cut inward. Probably going to need to do some more burning. But anyway, which way? I'm going to try and pop this in here. Fits alright. It's not perfect, but it's better than my first one. So anyways, that fits there. So next you're going to want to hot glue this. Yay, hot glue. You're going to get this set up in the way you want it. And so I'm going to go about right there. Make sure that it's not doing something weird out the front, because then that'll be horrible to try and plug stuff into. You're going to hold it in place, and you're going to apply lots of hot glue around it. You're going to need to be careful about what you get on the inside though, because like I said, the top closes there. But you will be required to cut some of the top though. Let the glue dry on one side before you start the other. Probably not going to dry for me at this point. It's still very wet. I'm going to move this a little closer to my face so I can get this to work. Almost there. Working away at this. Sorry about that, I had a slight interruption, but any which way, the glue is now nice and dry. So we're going to add more glue on the other side. Okay, try and get in all the creases. And we'll let that dry a little bit. If you put stuff on the underside, it's perfectly fine. It might be better if you do some just for extra support. Now, with PLA or ABS, whatever this is, it's whatever 3D printing plastic it is, it does morph a little bit under heat of the hot glue. So if you have 3D printed parts from the beta parts, you need to be careful about how much heat you're putting onto it. But if you're using the plastic molded, it's probably going to be a little better than the PLA. I think I stopped it. Looks as though it's dry. So from here, once your wire's in, you're gonna, depending on, you'll have to check the distance of which the top of the board is. For this, it actually turned out pretty well. Oh, dang. Woo! I found that hot glue. Aye. Yep, right there. Found that hot glue. Okay, so anyways, getting back to it. Hopefully not grabbing that hot glue again. Draw it all out. So, if you take a look at the board on the power, you might need to add a spacer or something. But any which way, ours turned out perfect, nice and level. So, you will need to, first of all, make sure that it's pretty well straight. 3D printed stuff, for some reason, I'm not sure if this is the design or not, but it's always offset. It might be the same with the plastic injected molding parts, but I know which way. You need to make sure it's aligned, and then you'll need to figure out, well, I might add a little bit of glue, not a whole lot, just a little dab on the underneath, just to hold the board in place while I'm doing the soldering. And it looks like I did too good a job. Anyway, which way? We will, so bring the wire up to where you're going to need it, and make sure you have a little bit of slack. Find out what you need, and cut it. Same with the other side. Now, because there's two grounds, if you only have a board with, if you only have one ground on your connector, that's all you have to worry about. You can solder across two if you want, but they're both connected anyways. So I usually either go for the first one or the second one. I'll go for the first one this time. So I'll cut it right about here. Here. There we go. Going to want to strip your wires here. I'm probably going to do a very horrible job at it, but I'm going to try and do it all right. So we will work at this. Well, it might take a little longer than you want, but in which way we're going to try. We will try the other one now. That might be a little big. So, work into here. And, ooh, be careful. And here we go. The camera began to slip on me, so I've stopped the video just to get it reset. But any which way, here we're cutting away at this. Try and strip it. And trying not to do a horrible job. Cutting away, cutting away. There we go, got this one. Now you need to twist the wires just so they're not going to fray when you solder them. Everybody says you need to tin your wires, but certain applications don't require you not to do this. So I might get add some more glue to the bottom of this, just so it stays where it needs to. And pop it down. Let that sit for a minute just so it can dry a little bit, and then we'll solder. So you bring the wires around, and you'll have to solder them on those areas. The ground goes right here. Sorry, ground goes right here or right there. And then the power, positive, goes to this the one closest to the fuse. So we're gonna do that now. I'm gonna add some tin to my soldering iron. Maybe find a good spot. The soldering iron tends to not like tinning. Try and get it all stuck on there. Oh. So, nice and tinned. Going to bring the ground up and around. Apply the solder to it. Keep it nice and hot. Wait for the cable to grab the heat. And let it sit, let the solder cool down. And looks like it's on. This isn't the ideal way to do soldering, but it's a way that I do and it seems to work alright. The glue's given way because I heated it up by doing the soldering. Used a lot of the solder on the first one, so I'm going to add some more. Run it out. Ooh, grabbed a hot spot. Okay. Going to bring this over. Get it over the positive. Try my best to keep the camera on it. And touch it down. Heat it up. And then let go. And let the solder dry a little bit. Nice and cool. Now it is on. Pull on the wires a little bit, not too much force, just to make sure they're not going to fall apart with a little bit of ramming. I'd let it cool down for a little bit. Yeah, take some of my glue off the bottom here. Let it cool down a little bit before you put the fuse back in, just for safety. Make sure the wires are tucked out of the way. And so this is pretty well what it's supposed to look like. Now this is part one, because part two is adding an area for external power. So like if you have a motor controller or something that you want to add in, I'm gonna do a mod to show you how to do that. So, but anyways, that's gonna be the next video. So we'll add the fuse back in here just for the fun of it, and then keeping in mind the 20 always faces is always right up. And if that confuses you, sometimes you need to look for the 32. 32 on the pin needs to be down for 32. It's 32 volts. Push this in, get it nice and set. Make sure it doesn't wiggle around. Make sure that's on, and then you should be able to. Oh, sorry, I forgot about the power base. The top modification. When you try and put it on, you're going to realize that the front does not sit down. And that's because it's getting stopped. So what you have to do is burn back these little notches in here. So I'm going to do a little bit of that. Trying to flatten them down a little bit. So now, cool them down a little bit and slide it on. Now you might need to do a little bit more depending on if you didn't clean it up properly. Like right here, I didn't do a perfect job at flattening this part. So there's a big bulge blocking it. Let's clean it up here. Okay, it looks alright. It's warping a little bit, but it's alright. Now, it might be a bit of a tight fit. That is quite alright. Just make sure that your mini beans is coming through properly. Put the screws, put at least 2 screws in and tighten them down. You want to focus maybe on the front, but the back's always good to have one in too. Make sure they go in alright. And we shall have a hacked power base. Now if you want to test it, you need to take your EZB, you need to pop it on. You should make sure it goes in all the way. See, mine does. Ooh, just notice one of my screws isn't in tight. Tighten that up now. Nice and tight. So now the USB is in. Now if you take a battery, I've got a battery that I hacked here to add a, because I bought the wrong size mini Dean to me a plug. Take this, make sure you got your plug set up right, and plug it in. And it's good. So anyways guys, that's how to hack your power base to accommodate a different plug. If this is a better way to do it rather than hacking your EZB directly, because then you're not like, that way you can sell it off and people don't have to worry about it. You can just keep everything on there and all I have to do is change the power base. Anyways, like, subscribe, comment, do all those different things you can at the bottom of the YouTube video. I hope you enjoyed the video. Part 2 will be up soon. Anyways guys, see you later. Bye.